Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've heard a lot about how Coach Armelli has had such a positive impact on so many. But unfortunately, sometimes, no matter how hard Coach tried, he just couldn't get through to some individuals in the time frame that he wanted to. Now, anyone who's ever worn the zebra stripes knows that refereeing can be a stressful occupation for sure. And after countless bad calls in front of his own home crowds, week in and week out, young Jerry became increasingly frustrated with all the booing and heckling from the stands. So he tried to broaden his spectrum and take up other sports like tennis. But he had limited success because he couldn't control his temper with the officials himself. But he didn't stop there. He was still inspired. Coach was a very inspiring guy, and he moved away from sports in general for a while, and then he tried to pick up some modeling gigs to boost his character and self-esteem. That's pretty sad. I don't think it helped. He eventually went on to a point where he was all but ready to hang up the whistle completely and give up on the great sport of wrestling completely when he remembered what Coach Armelli once told him, actually once told all of us. Never give up. Always keep pushing. Well, I'm happy to say that over the last few years, Jerry didn't give up. And he finally found his true calling in life as Gaz the Comedian. You can catch him at nightclubs all over northeastern Ohio, performing his very funny stand-up act. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's Roast Master General, please put your hands together for Gaz the Comedian.
Yeah, so thank you, Brandon, for that. That was, there we go. Yeah, Brandon, before I came up here, he called me like yesterday. He goes, I'm gonna put together a little intro for you, something that's just gonna like tickle the crowd. They're just gonna love it. Oh man, we'll just get them ready, little icebreaker. What I found out is he spends a little too much time on Facebook. Hold on, these up here. Which at first, when I was up here looking at that like bizarro looking picture of Coach Armelli, that thing, I felt like it was like Bizarro from the comic books. I'm like, man, I can't wait till that picture comes down. Well, then I know he was going to make it suckier for me. But, so everyone had like a little hand in what was going on today. And Brandon called me up and goes, hey, we'd like you to come up and we want you to actually just make fun of Coach Armelli. That's what we want you, that's going to be your part. I'm like, if this would have been about a year ago, right? If you would ask me to do this a year ago, I would have said, there is no way in hell I'm going up there and making fun of Coach Armelli. Because anyone that's wrestled for Coach Armelli and been under his tutelage knows that he scares the hell out of you. And I'm a grown adult, 37 years old, and when I look at that guy, it's not like I'm like afraid I'm ducking under stuff, but I'm like just waiting at any moment for this guy to crack, and just tear me a new one. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, right? But then about a year ago, and I could never figure out what it was that intimidated you. Like, and a bunch of the wrestlers can. I mean, because look at the guy. He's not very intimidating looking, And, I mean, and if you've seen his brother, now that isn't intimidating looking. I mean, he's a big guy. He's got a big dude. If you put the two of them together, Coach Armelli would be like the Danny DeVito version of the two. I mean, of course, Terry, eventually, he's like, now if you look at him, he's like the retired, like Arnold Schwarzenegger that's just been eating donuts for the last 15 years. And then eventually ate Danny DeVito. So you gotta look way back. But at the time, if you look at that, yeah, you're like, holy, I'm scared of Terry. That's crazy. What's that, Coach Armelli? So you sit around and you try and figure it out. You're like, man, what is it that scares me about this guy? Is it his hard work? I mean, sure, those are things that help you. But the things that scare you can never quite put your finger on it. And then a year ago, March 18th, he shaved off his mustache. And I figured out what it was. It was the mustache. That was like his power. That was like, that's what scares you. It's like Samson, eventually you cut it off and you're like, that guy's just a big wussy, right? I saw him a week later. I saw him without the mustache. I gave him a wedgie. There you with someone with a mustache, because let's face it, those things have been like not popular since 1970. I mean, sure, it had like a little comeback during the Magnum PI days, but then after that, I mean, they were just like relinquished to like there's pedophiles and then crazy people. So you don't mess with someone like that. You just don't. One of the things I learned about Coach Armelli is that how to deal with stressful situations when things are going your way, you know, people aren't making weight, kids are not working hard, is what you should do is just throw what Phil DeVito called a tirade. You know, throw a little tirade, something like that, right? But when you became, you know, he'd run around, start stomping his feet, throwing stuff everywhere. But then when you get older, like now I'm an adult and I have kids, and I realize that's not a tirade, that's a tantrum. That's all Coach Armelli did, just throw tantrums all the time, throwing clocks at people. One of the people that actually wrote one of the notes, it was Brian Ferrito, he actually threw a clock right at this guy's head, missed it, just grazed off. Most people at that time would have done lawsuits like it was today, but no one just said anything, you don't want to mess with the mustache guy. Hey, what should we do? I don't know, just don't say anything. Go back in there and wrestle, Brian. That was his dad's advice to him. It made everybody nervous. So eventually, one of the greatest ever, just to tell one little story and show how this fear just like resonates through everybody. We had an incident, it was a dual meet against Benedict, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but it didn't go down well, right? It did not happen well. We wrestled bad, incidents went down. Well, it sparked like an hour-long, like, screaming and yelling, and he's in his face, he's in everyone's face, we're in the locker room, no one's saying a word, everyone's like looking down at the ground. Well, he walks into his office, right, and he slams the door, and it like shatters the entire window. Well, some of us start to look at each other. We all start to look up. You know, I make eye contact with Brian Ferrito. We're starting to laugh for a second, but out of nowhere, he like busts out the other door and goes on for like another 20 minutes. Like, and I thought I was like that close to death. Like, if he would have seen me laughing, that would have been, oh God, I can't even imagine, right? Well, the mustache did not allow that glass to be fixed for years. Like, no one was going to fix it because they thought, maybe just Armelli wants it this way. You know, that's what the janitors actually said. We're going to fix it. Hell no, we're not going to fix that. You know how that guy does like metaphors all the time. You know, we got the prime, the pump, we got the puzzle piece now. Let's shut the door, like some sort of shit. I don't even know about it. The guy's practically Jesus of like the wrestling community. That's what this guy does. Coincidentally, I called up there just to see how that window was doing. March 19th, it was fixed. Yeah. I said, hey, why did you guys fix that window like on March 19th? They said, who is this? I goes, Jerry Simmons, and they're like, well, we told you not to call here anymore. Or show up, but I just went on, that's exactly why that's why they fixed it. You know, the fear is gone. It's just nowhere around anymore, right? So, anyway, what I wanted to do today is also tell you one more thing that happened on March 19th, right? So I looked this up. I'm like, you know, this is a factor. Sure, it's around the community. Everyone knows about the mustache, right? But how far, how deep is it, right? March 19th, NASA, right? Just to show you how crazy this is, NASA witnessed the largest meteorite to ever hit the moon. Crazy, right? What this tells you is that the universe was afraid to attack Earth while he had a mustache. That is nuts, right? That is nuts. So really what I came up here to do today was not so much talk about Coach Armelli, was much to please grow the mustache back. Because I think without the mustache, we are all like in trouble at this point. Oh my God, that was it. I just wanted to make fun of him a little bit. I actually was excited to come up here and talk for a second and say that, you know, it is pretty neat being still in the wrestling community. I'm a ref now. And you see what Coach Armelli has done with everybody. I'm sure we all love wrestling. We have good experiences. But to just walk off the mat after high school and say, yeah, look back on wrestling fondly is one thing. But to see how many people that are in this room that are still in the wrestling community. So it's not just what he taught us. We're like, everyone is still here and giving back. And that's amazing. And I know this because half you guys are bitching at me for stalling like every weekend. Everyone in this room, and it's just great. So, anyway, Coach Armelli, thanks for the last metaphor that I've had in a while. It's awesome. I'm glad you just don't stop with that, please. And thank you very much, Coach. That's it.